Okay, let's get back to Jackie. At 8:30 exactly, the bell rings. Miss Phyllis gets everyone's attention. "Good morning, class," she says. "Good morning," they echo back. Miss Phyllis takes attendance. Okay, this story is kind of hard to get out, right? Got to stop to make explanations all the time. So let me explain what's going on here. So this all looks very typical, but there's actually something very important going on here. First off, let me explain cohorts. So PCA needs to divide the school into what are called cohorts. And cohorts are groups of kids who do things together, who do almost everything together. And at PCA, we are calling each homeroom a cohort, like this. Kindergarten's a cohort, first and second grade's a cohort, third and fourth grade's a cohort, 5 through 8 is a cohort, and 9 through 12 is a cohort. And each one of these homerooms are going to be a cohort, and we're going to try to limit the interaction between and among these cohorts as much as possible. Now, a really interesting component to cohorting for us, a unique challenge, is that quite a few of the kids who are planning to attend school at PCA this coming year have connections outside of the school. So in a school where the primary place where kids get together is the school, that these cohorts make a lot more sense. You want to keep the kids separate from each other as much as you kind of can to prevent disease from spreading. However, at PCA, we've got a lot of kids who have connections outside of the school as well, and so that's going to present a pretty unique challenge. So without seeing exactly what the student body looks like, I'm not quite sure how to navigate through that one as of right now. Also, the rules surrounding how exactly you set up cohorts are worded in a little bit of a confusing way. And so the way things are said, because originally I had thought, well, what we'll do is we're a small school, so we'll put all the kids into one cohort, right? We'll just consider that every single kid would come into contact with every single other kid at school. But according to the rules, it sounds like maybe we're not allowed to do that. I can't quite figure that one out, and I'll have to be asking I'll have to ask for some clarification on that. But as of right now, anyway, we're going to be treating each homeroom as a separate cohort, and we'll be trying to keep those cohorts separate as much as possible. So each individual classroom cohort will study together, eat lunch in their classroom together, take breaks at the same time, and play recess together. Devotions and chapels are going to be held separately in these different cohorts' classrooms, and basically each cohort is going to largely function as its own little school within the school. Now, let me move from cohorting now to contact tracing. So this is another really important thing, and so that's why the story stopped right after Ms. Phyllis took attendance, because this is how we are handling contact tracing. So one of the things we're required to do is keep track for at least 4 weeks of which students came into contact with which students and which teachers came into contact with which students, etc. And so the way we're going to be doing that is like this. Each homeroom teacher is going to take attendance first thing in the morning, and it's all going to be tracked in a system called Sycamore, which is the school's information system. Now, this is really crucial because we have to keep track of everybody, like I mentioned before, and taking attendance in the morning shows us that students will be a record for us that will help us look back later to see if a kid was at school for sure. Now, teachers in grades 5 through 12 are not going to take attendance only in the homeroom in the morning. They're actually going to take attendance at every single class. So if you're in 5th through 12th grade and you go to math class, attendance will be taken. If you go to science class, attendance will be taken, etc. So that's going to be our primary form of contact tracing there at the school. Now, along with that, if a student arrives after school has actually started, or if a student arrives before school has let out, then we have a special process to deal with that. So let's get back to Jackie. Now let's go back in time. This time, Jackie's grandma got stuck behind a really slow tractor, and Jackie arrived at 8:35. Now what happens? When Jackie arrives, the doors are locked, so Jackie gets out of the car and rings the doorbell. Her grandma waits in the drop-off zone. Miss Janelle, the school secretary, comes to let Jackie in. "Good morning, Jackie," she says. Miss Janelle checks Jackie's face, takes her temperature, and then welcomes her inside. "Don't forget your face shield," she says. Jackie puts on her shield, sanitizes her hands, and walks to her classroom. Miss Janelle goes straight to her computer and checks Jackie in using Sycamore, the school's information system. Okay, the explanation. So just real quick, this was to show that how kids are going to be checked in if they arrive after starting time. Also, if there are going to be kids who are arriving at the back entrance, from the back parking lot, then what they'll need to do is actually go directly to the front office and get checked in there. and then go to their classrooms. Now, the opposite of this is also true. That is, if students are leaving early, they also need to go by the front office where either I or Miss Janelle or another staff member will actually check them out, because we need to keep track of when students came and when students left. So checking in and checking out. Okay, thanks. In our next video, we are going to take a look at recess and lunch.